Hey guys, so of course the new ban list just came out recently, and now technically it doesn't actually come into effect until next Monday, but at yesterday's locals I decided to just, slightly handicap myself and just play branded post ban list, which essentially means playing without expulsion because it is now banned. And I also made some minor changes in the main and side just so that it's not so focused against super heavy samurai anymore, just because of some of the hits they got on the ban list. So I thought I'd take the time to at least go over my deck list so far, and then we can work together with your feedback and try to improve the list in the next coming weeks. And so before I continue, also I just want to mention that LDB Duel does have some branded custom art deck boxes that you can also get 10% off using code Hakuna10. So definitely go check those out as well. And now let's get right to the list. Alright, so starting with the main deck, we're going to go with the triple Fallen of Albaz. For the longest time, I think most players ran 2, and that was sort of the standard. But nowadays, playing 3 is actually really good, and it definitely comes up. And, we have the Quem as well as the Cortesia, where you can try to, basically bring up Mirror Jade, or let's say even Sanctifier on your opponent's turn when you got interrupted on your turn. So I think playing 3 is really good, especially against something like Hashira, where you're bound to get something at least one banished. Of course, the triple Luber, definitely self-explanatory to get you your branded stuff. On some other Despia monsters, Tragedy and Adlib. So I think some people are actually cutting this for Quem essentially. But at the same time, I don't know. I kind of still like it, to be honest with you, and it allows you to recur that something like Mirror Jade. Of course, this can also recur Mirror Jade, so that's why I do see why some people might cut it. It's certainly up to you. Let me know what you think about playing Adlib right now. We also have the double Blazing Cortesia. I do know that this card is expensive, but unfortunately, I really do think the second one really comes up enough that it's justifiable to get that second one. It's really strong in combination with Quem, and as well as something like Lulu. That's also a new card, so really strong, and especially in terms of Sanctifier and the Gimmick Puppet lock. That's something that you kind of need it for. And of course the Shrouded Dragon. It's remember that it is a Fallen of Albaz in the grave as well as on the field, so definitely that can come up a lot. We also have the Mercurier as well for that monster negate, or just for the most part, you're probably banishing it to get access to something like Cortesia, for example. Bestial, again, pretty standard in terms of just the one Libellion and the one Serenier. I would like to play at least Magnuts in the side. Right now I don't have room, but I definitely think they're really good to have, especially in a Branded Mirror. Magna is just so strong, but for now, I think these two are the key ones that you can get away with. I'm still going to play Gimmick Puppet Nightmare, especially in the main. Originally, I was thinking maybe I should just delegate it back to the side now, but at the same time, you know what? Game 1, you can really steal games with this. Now, it doesn't come up as much as, of course, with Expulsion. Expulsion was way easier. Let's, definitely not be in denial about that, but you know what, it can still, especially because you have pretty good ways to access Cortesia still. You can still do the lock, but it's up to you whether you think it's still worth it. And I'm seeing a lot of people do this as well. Originally, I wanted to go back to Dragoon after the Expulsion ban, and especially with the ban list, Kashira and Labyrinth are going to be really strong decks, and Dark Dragoon, rather, is really good against both of those decks. And so I figured, you know what, we did lose Expulsion, so just take it out for the Dark Magician. Some other monsters / hand traps interruptions. I decided to go with 3 Ash. The one with Imperm, we are playing a couple of crossouts, so that's sort of why. And then I actually decided to just main deck double Kaiju. So, you know what, originally it was more so with the super heavy samurai, but now, even now, Kashira is still going to be the best deck, and they did lose Mind Hacker, so if they do Rise Hard Pass with some sets, maybe, Kaijus are still nice. And I kind of like the light one, to be honest with you, especially when, if I can, if I have, let's say, Albaz, and then your opponent has a light monster, then it's just kind of easier to go into, something like Albion, which can bring out Mirror Jade easier without having to discard again for Lubellion, so that's kind of why. And also, it is a machine, technically. It can work with Branded and High Spirits as well, because Sprint is a machine. Okay, now let's move on to the spells. Triple Branded Fusion, self-explanatory. Really, no doubt, the best spell, fusion spell in the game. Triple Branded Opening, really good now, even better now, because of Quem, because you can summon it off that. Branded Loss, I really hope this comes as a holo, or let's at least, hope that this never gets banned. I am actually playing Branded and High Spirits. I was debating, with cutting this, but I actually kind of like it, especially in cases where, I know I can resolve it, and I would actually search this off of a Luber if I already have Branded Fusion, just because, you can search Loss, and that's kind of a common way to go, but at the same time, if you just get Ashed on Branded Fusion, then the Loss really isn't going to do anything, unless you have, maybe, Super Poly that you said, and you can actually do it on your opponent's turn. But I like having this, because if I do get Ashed on the Branded Fusion, and let's say you use this, discard something like Fallen of Albaz or Shrouded Dragon, and get that Albion Engrave or whatever, and, it can at least give you some plays, and not totally just die. And of course, Branded in red, really good. Love this card. gets you to Guardian Chimera for the most part, but there are other applications to it as well. Although, just keep in mind that monster special summon by this, it cannot attack directly that turn, which can come up if you were trying to do OTKs and you fumble by trying to do that. And of course, the 1 Retribution, pretty self-explanatory. Some other related spells. The triple fusion deployment, definitely something that I think pretty much every branded list is still playing despite the availability of Quem. Really strong. And so fun fact, you can actually summon Dark Magician with this, revealing Dragoon. Why would you do that? I don't know, but you can. And a lot of people are playing either, Nadir Servant or Crossout. I decided to actually sort of spread the wealth, essentially play 2 of each, as well as 1 call by, of course. Essentially, this kind of serves as 3 call by. This one I do have to sort of consider for this upcoming format, just because, when Expulsion was legal, this was a lot better because you could Gimmick Puppet lock it like really easily, even if you got Ashe on Branded Fusion, just because, as long as you had access to a Cartesia Fusion, you could still, send the Gimmick Puppet with Granule, and then this would send the Albion for the Expulsion. Nowadays, it's not as available, but at the same time, it's still a pretty good card, but I will have to debate whether I still play this. Foolish and Gold Sork, self-explanatory, just gets you access for the most part to like a Luber, but sometimes Cartesia as well. And I really love Super Poly, still love this card, against Kashtira. Maybe it doesn't come up as much now that they lost Mind Hacker, so you don't go to that Mud Dragon line for the most part. And also, against Labyrinth, like under Skill Drain, like Super Polying them is kind of like one of your only ways to keep pushing for game. One thing about Expulsion I would like to mention is that, aside from the Gimmick Puppet luck, the reason I really like Expulsion was that it protected our deck from getting hit with Evenly Matched, because this Evenly Matched can be really devastating for this deck in particular, because aside from Dragoon, which you normally don't really bring out as much, it doesn't really have an Omni Negate, right? So Evenly Matched can be really deadly, and so we don't have Expulsion to give them that monster so that they can't evenly. We do have Sanctifier, so we can kind of work around that, but just something to keep in mind of. So moving on to the extra deck, we do have double Albion Dragon, self-explanatory, just 1 Lobelian, Kashtira, they lost Mind Hacker, so that's kind of nice, we don't have to play too many of those. Mirror Jade, again, self-explanatory, probably the best one in our extra deck for the most part, it's at least the most applicable. And then we also have the Sanctifier for our Gimmick Puppet lock, as well as some other stuff. You can technically summon even something like, let's say, like Dragon or something. I'm not sure if people are actually going to go with that route, but you know what, it's there. This is really strong though, and I love this card. And another thing that I like about this now is that just off Branded Fusion, without having to use monster effects on the field, we can now get to a 3000 attack body. So under something like Skill Drain, this can be kind of useful, because something like Mirror Jade, even though it's 3000, you always have to go through something like Albion or Lobelian first, right, in terms of their effects on the field. So it's nice to have a big booty even under Skill Drain. I'm still playing the Windbrum. I'm not sure if people are cutting this anymore, because let's say even like Quem can revive back to Albaz now on your opponent's turn, but at the same time, that threat is always nice to have. We also have the Granule. I know some people are playing 2, especially to really make that Gimmick Puppet lock live as well, and you basically go into the second one like your opponent's turn. I'm still debating it, but certainly let me know how you're doing it. Of course, we have the Quat, however you pronounce this guy, which kind of comes off just off the Granule. Sometimes, when you're like a Luber and then they try to imperm you or something on the Luber and you Super Poly away, so you can make this with your opponent's monster if they have a Dark Light. Guardian Chimera, really nice to have. And of course, Dragoon, because it's really strong against something like Kashtira, as well as Labyrinth. So you know what, it's nice to have. Burn damage is nice too. Or 3 Super Poly targets, which hasn't really changed. I think some people can, they might even cut like Aurora, I think, the way I've seen it. But you know what, for now, I'm going to keep it. And of course, the 1 Lulu. I did notice Galzo was actually playing Ash Dragon instead of this one. I certainly understand that as well. So let me know what your thoughts are, whether you would play this or both, or just one or the other. And lastly, onto the side, we just have our 3rd Kaiju in the side, as well as the 3 Drolls. I figured, you know what, I'm not entirely sure what the next format is going to start out like, and I just at least want to have Droll in the side, just in case, who knows. Super Heavy Samurai, are they dead? I'm not entirely sure. I've seen some pretty cool boards, but at the same time, maybe at the start of the format, there won't be too much of that. And then Jinzo, just because, again, I was pretty scared of Labyrinth. I never actually ended up bringing this ever, but you know what, it's there for now. Actually, again, I'm mentioning Galzo because he's kind of like the branded person to go to. Certainly go check his channel out, and I noticed he was playing it too, so I guess I'm not too far off, so that's kind of cool. Some spells, triple Dark Ruler, because Sprite is probably going to come back again, and you know what, Dark Ruler is really strong, as well as Super Poly. That's why one of the things I really love about that card as well. Against Sprite, it is pretty deadly, and I know because I play Sprite a lot. Triple Cosmic, I'm a little worried. I'm not sure if Runic would come back at all. Maybe not. I mean, you know, the Naturia did take a pretty big hit in terms of that Sacred Tree. I should probably maybe just put the Feather Duster here as well. But you know what? I really do like this card, and I was also kind of afraid of Anti-Spell Fragments. Maybe again, because Super Heavy Samurai got hit quite a bit, maybe it won't see as much play as it was just in the past couple of weeks, but you know what, just to be safe, it doesn't hurt to have this. We can't really play Twin Twisters, unfortunately, because our card economy, like, there are a lot of times where we have to discard a lot to begin with, and so that's why I would rather go with Cosmic if you have to pick a quick place choice. And of course, can't go wrong with the Evenly Matched, really strong card. Not quite sure why Lightning Storm got hit to 2 and then this is still considered fine, but you know what, I guess I can't complain, although at the same time maybe I should complain, because this is a card that I am now pretty afraid of playing Branded, just because, you know, again, I don't have that Expulsion, just for that easier way of preventing Evenly Match. I get it, Sanctifier is still there, but you know what, sometimes you don't make that, but you do also have Dragoon for the Omni-Negate as well. Alright guys, so that was it for the deck profile. Hopefully you found that helpful, and so definitely make sure to leave in the comments in terms of what you might change in your branded deck list in terms of, you know, how we should adapt for this upcoming format. And certainly you can feel free to check out that LDB Duel website for the branded deck boxes. So as always, a big thanks to my patrons for supporting the channel and watching my videos, and to all of you as well. So take care guys.